Hey guys, it's Nicole from Toujours. Welcome back. Today we are going to be doing something a little different than usual. Macarons still, yes, but we're gonna make a nut-free version. Previously on this channel, we've done lives with all-purpose flour macarons and sunflower flour for macarons. And today we're going to be using another nut-free alternative. I've partnered with the wonderful company Judee's, and they've given me some coconut flour. So I'm gonna show you guys how to make a coconut nut-free macaron. I'm so excited to partner with Judee's. If you've watched my channel from the beginning, you know I've used their egg white powder since day one of my macaron business. And I was thrilled to play around with more of their products. So let's get into how to make these coconut nut-free macarons with mango buttercream. So it's important to note before we get started that coconut flour absorbs a lot more moisture than almond flour. So when I was developing this recipe, I had to scale back a lot on the dries. So this batter is gonna feel a lot different than our almond flour batter, but it does work. We get the feet. They just look a little different from our almond flour macarons. So let's get into making them. So just like with regular macarons, it's important to scale out all your ingredients before you get started. So here I'm sifting my Judee's coconut flour. I only have 30 grams here of coconut flour. And then I'm going to sift on top of that, right into the same bowl, my confectioner sugar. I'm using 80 grams of confectioner sugar here. Once I've sifted my coconut flour with my confectioner sugar, I'll take my whisk and just evenly distribute both together in the bowl so they're a homogeneous mixture. And then I'll start prepping my other ingredients. I have 65 grams of egg whites in this recipe and 45 grams of sugar, granulated sugar, with 2 grams of Judee's egg white powder. After I put my egg white powder into my sugar, I always use a fork to evenly distribute that egg white powder throughout the granulated sugar. This ensures that my egg white powder isn't gonna clump up when it's added to my liquid egg whites. So once I have my ingredients prepped and my equipment prepped, I've got a piping bag with a piping tip and my baking mat and baking sheet, then I'm ready to get started. Start to whip up your eggs, and once they're nice and foamy, we're gonna add in our sugar and egg white mixture. That added egg white powder is just gonna help strengthen our meringue. So we're gonna whip up to stiff peaks. With that addition of egg white powder, it does take a little bit longer to whip up to stiff peaks. Since I'm making mango macarons, I added the SugarArt orange into my egg whites right after the sugar and egg white powder dissolves. So here I'm adding my Master Elite orange from the SugarArt. Just a little bit, it's about 1/8 of a teaspoon, and then it's also gonna aerate and get a little bit lighter for that beautiful mango color once I'm done with my meringue. If you're in the market for more colorants for your macarons, these powdered colors are perfect because they don't add added moisture into your batter. Make sure to use Toujours at checkout when you're ordering from the SugarArt. Once the colorant was added, I'm just whipping up to stiff peaks. Then once we reach a nice stiff peak, we're gonna add in our dries, just as we're doing normal macarons. I like to add my dries in a couple additions. So this is a very small batch. It yields about 10 to 12 paired macarons. So if you do a larger batch, you might need to add your dries in a couple more additions. But here, I just added my dries in 2 additions. Just sort of pat those dries in and get them incorporated, and then you'll start the macaronage process, where you slowly deflate your meringue and topple your batter over itself to get to a nice flowing consistency. If you've never made macarons before, coconut macarons are a little bit trickier. I suggest checking out my Macaron 101 tutorial before trying out this recipe. Once you've gotten that nice flowing consistency, it is important to note it is not gonna look like my base recipe. There's a lot more dries in that recipe in relation to the liquid egg whites. So here we have less dries, so it's gonna feel a little less thick of a batter here. Once you get to that nice flowing consistency, even if it breaks a little bit, that's okay. As long as it's a smooth batter, you're ready to put that into your piping bag and pipe. Because this batter is so different from almond flour batter, it's not going to spread as much once you pipe it. So once you pipe your macarons, you wanna go slowly and carefully to make sure you're getting the top of your shell nice and smooth. And you can always go back with a scribe and help it a little bit afterwards. And as you can see, I added some sanding sugar on top of my macarons. Just like with almond flour macarons, you can do the toppings on your coconut flour macarons as well. Once your macarons are fully piped, I suggest resting for 15 minutes or until they are dry to the touch. When you put your finger on the top of your shell, it's not gonna be tacky or come off on your finger. Once they're nice and dry, we can put them into our oven. I've preheated my convection toaster oven to 300 Fahrenheit, and once I put these macarons in, I drop to 275. For this, I only have to bake 15 minutes, but in my gas conventional oven, I had to bake for 20 minutes. So just be careful with the bake. It'll take a couple times for you to get your oven down. What I noticed when making these coconut macarons is that they don't harden as much as almond flour macarons when they're baking. So there will be a little bit of a give still when you push down on the feet. But once you just leave these to set for about 20 minutes outside of your oven, they will harden. When they're cooling, this is the perfect time to make your buttercream. You wanna take room temperature butter, 113 grams or 1 stick of butter or a half of a cup. And you're gonna whip that up. And then you're going to use Judee's mango powder. You guys, this is going to be your answer for fresh tasting mango flavor year round. It is awesome. I'm sad that I did not know about this product beforehand. It is so good. In this recipe, I'm using 12 grams of mango powder. And once that butter is fluffy, you're gonna add in your mango powder right then. The fat of the butter is going to hold in that mango flavor, so it's best to add in your flavoring right into that butter. So whip up your mango and butter together, and then you're gonna slowly add in that confectioner's sugar. Here I have 155 grams. I go really slow with this confectioner's sugar just so I don't make a huge mess, and then whip it up till it's nice and fluffy. And if you wanna lighten it up a little bit, you can add some coconut milk. Here I added 8 grams of coconut milk into my batter and whipped it up just to lighten it up a tiny bit, and a pinch of salt to round out the flavor. Once you're done whipping up your buttercream and you have cooled macaron shells, then you can pair up your macaron shells and start filling them. Once you have a dollop of buttercream directly in the center of your shell, you can sandwich these together. It helps to pick up the base and put the top shell right on top of the buttercream, and a slight turning of that top shell as you sandwich the macarons together, it helps your buttercream reach all the way to the edge of your macarons. Once these are all sandwiched together, you can store them in an airtight container in your refrigerator for 2 to 5 days and enjoy. These puppies are so pretty and super coconut forward. So I know we only have 30 grams of Judee's coconut flour in here, but the whole thing sings coconut. It is a coconut lover's dream. They're super full and beautiful. I especially like the sanding sugar on top of these because the coconut macaron doesn't have as much of a bite as your almond flour macaron. It has a little one, but the sanding sugar is such a fun texture. And that's it. And then you get the mango aftertaste. coconut forward, then mango. These are super delicious and such a great alternative to almond flour macarons. I can imagine these filled with chocolate ganache as well. That would be like an almond joy. It'd be so good. I can't wait for you guys to try this recipe out. Let me know how you like it in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching, you guys. If you like this video, please hit that like button and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. It helps immensely, if you didn't know that already. And I hope you guys have an awesome day. Happy baking, happy coconut macaron making. That's all I can do for rhyming.